Imagine a secret so dark you're afraid of your own thoughts. Imagine feelings so forbidden that a single word could destroy everything. Today, I'll tell you a story about a girl whose diary was found by the wrong person. And what happened next changed their lives forever. Emma never planned to feel this way. The 16-year-old girl sat in her room gripping her pen with trembling fingers, writing down words that burned her from the inside. Words about David, her father. After her mother's death 3 years ago, their world narrowed to just 2 people. David worked 3 jobs to give Emma everything she needed. She saw how he fell asleep at the table over bills, how his hands, rough from work, gently braided her hair before school, how his eyes, always so tired, suddenly came alive when she talked about her day. When did it start? Emma couldn't remember the exact moment. Maybe that night when she woke from a nightmare and he held her while she cried. Or that day when her classmates discussed boys, and she realized the only person who made her heart beat faster was him. The diary became her confessional. Page after page, confessions of feelings that shouldn't exist. She hid it under her mattress, convinced this secret would die with her. But secrets have a habit of coming to light at the most unexpected moment. Mrs. Peterson, their neighbor from the first floor, always prided herself on her observational skills. The 67-year-old retiree noticed how Emma had started acting strangely. 2 long glances at her father, nervous laughter when he touched her shoulder, attempts to look older, makeup, new dresses, her mother's perfume. One morning, Mrs. Peterson noticed something white on their apartment windowsill. The wind had blown a notebook through the open window onto the ledge. She picked it up, initially planning just to return it. But the very first page made her freeze. "I know this is wrong, but when he looks at me, Mrs. Peterson closed the diary, but her hands were shaking. She spent 2 sleepless nights wrestling with her conscience. Return it and stay silent, or save the child from destructive emotions. Meanwhile, a quiet catastrophe was unfolding in Emma's apartment. She searched for the diary everywhere, turning her room upside down. Panic gave way to despair. If someone reads this, David noticed her condition. "What happened?" he asked, and Emma couldn't look him in the eye for the first time. "Nothing," she whispered, but her voice was cracking at the seams. The tension between them thickened with each passing day. Friday. David came home early with an expression Emma had never seen before. In his hands was the familiar notebook. Time stopped. "Mrs. Peterson brought this over this morning." His voice was quiet, almost fragile. "She was worried about you. Emma, is this true?" Their small kitchen suddenly felt like a prison cell. Emma felt the walls closing in, the air becoming too thick to breathe. She wanted to run, disappear, cease to exist, but something in his eyes made her stay. Not anger, not disgust, pain, deep, unbearable pain of a person who realized he'd made a mistake somewhere. "Dad, The words stuck in her throat. How to explain what she herself doesn't understand? "I didn't choose this. I tried. I fought." Tears flowed in an uncontrollable stream. Years of silence, self-hatred, fear, everything poured out in one moment. She waited for shouting, accusations, revulsion in his eyes. Instead, David did something she didn't expect. He carefully approached and sat nearby, leaving a safe distance between them. "Listen to me carefully," he began, and in his voice there was such love, such pain, such determination. "Emma, these feelings don't make you a bad person. They make you a person who experienced loss during the most important years of your life." David spoke slowly, choosing each word carefully. He told her things she didn't know, how, after his wife's death, a therapist warned him about possible consequences for his daughter, how loneliness can distort natural feelings, how the absence of a mother figure could create confusion in her heart. "I'm your father, always have been and always will be, and that's exactly why I have to protect you, even from your own thoughts that are trying to fill the void your mom left." He told her about his own struggle, how after his wife's death he felt like an inadequate father, how he tried to be both mother and father at once, afraid he was doing everything wrong, how loneliness ate at him at night, but he never allowed himself to show it to her. "We were both trying to fill the emptiness with the wrong things," he said quietly. but there's a right way, and tomorrow we'll start looking for it together. For the first time in months, Emma felt something like relief. The secret no longer suffocated her alone, but Mrs. Peterson had already made another call to the school psychologist, Dr. Sarah Bennett. A woman with 20 years of experience working with teenagers understood such situations require immediate but delicate intervention. When she appeared at their apartment door on Saturday morning, Emma felt a new wave of panic. But Dr. Bennett brought not judgment, but understanding. Over tea, she explained to them both. What's happening with Emma has a name. It's psychological displacement effect, combined with unprocessed grief. When a child loses a parent during adolescence, their emotional attachment development is disrupted. She spoke without condemnation, without drama. Just facts, backed by years of experience. Emma learned she wasn't a monster, or crazy, that hundreds of teenagers experience similar confusion after traumatic losses. But most importantly, said Sarah, looking at David, you did the right thing by not ignoring this. Parents who silence such things create real danger. You've opened up the problem, which means it can be solved. She proposed a plan: individual therapy for Emma, family sessions, possibly a support group for grieving teenagers. 6 months passed. Emma sat in the therapist's office, but no longer trembled like that first time. She had learned to distinguish admiration from romantic feelings, the need for safety from a different type of love. I idolized him because he was the only one who remained, she said in one of the sessions, but I confused gratitude with something else, and loneliness added the wrong colors. Therapy opened her eyes to many things: how she idealized her father because she was afraid of losing him too, how the absence of friends drove her into isolation, how unprocessed anger at her mother for leaving them transformed into a distorted attachment to her father. David worked on himself too. He invited Rachel, his late wife's sister, into their home. She became a female figure for Emma, not a replacement for her mother, but a new warmth in her life. Emma started attending theater club, found friends, discovered a world beyond their apartment. Their story didn't end in scandal. It ended in healing. That evening, when Emma closed her old diary for the last time, she wrote on the final page, "Love isn't what you feel. It's how you learn to live with it. And sometimes the greatest love is the courage to ask for help." David and Emma learned to be father and daughter again. Not perfectly, but authentically. And that was the most precious thing they could give each other. Their story is a reminder that the darkest secrets can lead to the brightest changes, if met with honesty, compassion, and readiness to begin again.